Okay, here we go. Look who I got on the show today, lady. Another WOC that's got a lot of knowledge. And I pushed up on her. I'm like, well, Vegas. I saw her in Vegas. I said, Coach, I got to get you on the show. But I've been indirectly knowing her through her time in the SEC at that other blue school. So, Coach, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm fantastic. God is so good. Blessed over here. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm glad we were able to work it out.
Oh, okay. How you doing? Because I'm catching you. Are you going? Can you hear me good?
I can hear you great.
Coach, can you hear me well?
I can hear you
super.
well.
Why don't we get into it? I want to talk about your journey, Okay. I want to talk about your journey here in coaching, first of all. What inspired you to get into coaching?
Well, it's a funny story. I actually didn't want to coach. I was doing my exit meetings.
You sound like Terry.
My senior year in college with Coach Summitt. And I was coming off a couple of injuries. So she's like, do you want to play overseas? I was like, not really. And she was like, I think you should get into coaching. And I was like, no, I don't really want to coach.
You got to preface that. Pat said that, right?
Coach Summitt was like, I think you should get into coaching. And I was like, no, I had my eyes set on the wide world of sports at Disney because I was thinking, I was young, single. I was like, I can be in the sun. I can still be around basketball, not playing, but I still loved it. And Coach Summitt goes, there's a job opening at Virginia Tech. You should go interview for it. And if you try it for a year, if you love it and give it your all, and you don't like it, you can always go to the wide world of sports at Disney. Well, 25 years later, Coach is always right. Here I am, got the bug, loved it. It's been a wild ride, but wouldn't want to be in any other profession.
Yeah. Well, since I'm going to go off script. I usually stay on script, but since you brought up Pat, and a lot of people, I guess I know these younger players don't know you played for Pat and that you was a baller and that you played, that you were high. And not only that, you were academic All-American. I did my homework. You were academically on point. So
yes.
How was it playing for Pat? How was it playing for Pat?
Coach Summitt is one of the best to ever do it. She is the GOAT, a legend.
She's an OG.
But yes. Playing for her is one of the hardest things that I have ever done in my life. The most rewarding, wouldn't change it for anything. But Coach Summitt taught a lot of us a lot of things. And one of the things that I learned from Coach Summitt, work ethic, surrounding yourself with good people, doing the right thing, and also the resilience and toughness that she instilled in us to get us prepared not only to compete at that level, but for life. And you don't always appreciate the process when you're going through it. But now I am so appreciative of Coach Summitt and all the things that she taught, not only me, but the 161 Lady Vols that she coached and everyone that she touched. But one thing about us Lady Vols, you can knock us down, but we know how to get up. And that's the toughness from Coach.
Well, I tell you, I had Kelly on the show, and you're sounding so much like her. Kelly Harper was on the show, and we talked about it. And I wanted to talk about the Pat Summitt tree. All these coaches, even your head coach you're working with is a Pat Summitt spinoff. She's from the Pat Summitt tree. Holly Warwick, and there's so many more that was on that tree of Pat Summitt. How does she affect your coaching to this day? Is it something that you brought from Pat?
The Lady Ball Sisterhood is everywhere. I'm blessed to have the opportunity to work here with Coach Lawson, and we're all cut from the same cloth. And, Pat instilled the sisterhood in us, and everybody always jokes, no matter what generation or time frame that you play for Coach Summitt, there's just a connection and a sisterhood that we have, and we look after for each other. we look after each other. And one of the things Coach talked about, one day I was driving her, probably one of her last years in the business, and she was going to take all the former Lady Vols out that was coaching, and she always paid for us. And on the way back, I was like, Coach, you know, we all have jobs. We can pay for dinner. And she whipped her head and she looked at me with those blue eyes and she said, you always pay your blessings forward. And long after I'm gone, how you all can repay me is continue the legacy of the sisterhood. And that's what we do.
Wow.
And so we're so proud of that. But as far as what I take from coaching, you know, Coach was tough. She demanded a lot. The standard was high. She was going to get greatness out of you, whether you wanted it or not. She was going to pull it out of you. But what I love that she made everyone feel valuable. Like we played on a team that was winning national championships. All of us were McDonald's All-Americans coming out of high school. But for her to be able to manage those egos, make sure that everybody understood their role, that could play their role, but star in their role for us to win. So those are some of the things that I take. And it's a tough love. You love them, but you also want to push them beyond what they think they're capable of, but they have to know that you love them first. And Coach Summitt was that way. And I definitely take some of those things from her. I don't have the stare, but the competitiveness, the competitive spirit, the tough love, and wanting to make sure that you give your players the absolute best chance for success on and off the court. I did get from Coach.
No, I've been following you for years and loved your style of play. I didn't, to be honest, when I started doing my homework, until I did my homework, I didn't realize you was from that tree. And
well, I'm from the
should have
tree.
noticed that. Should have noticed that. But you know, like I said, Kelly was on the show and she was sounding just like you. Having that same vibe for Pat. And I asked her, I want to ask you, and I asked her this. I was like, you think Pat could have handled all this new wave, the way these new hip hop hoopers are? And Kelly just gave me. I want to get your answer to that too.
Well, we'll never know. But in her era, she did it right. National champion 8 times and coached some of the best that ever do it. So in her era, she did a great job, and that will always be what we remember.
Well, good. Well, tell me this, as the WOC leading a major program, I try to think about this, and I wanted to ask you about that. When you talk about being a woman of color, is there any advantages in your ability to connect and lead and inspire?
Well, I don't think it's just about color. Now, being one of the women of color, it's important because representation does matter. And, when we were growing up and you're getting recruited and in the process, or you're watching games as a high schooler, representation does matter. And I remember when Coach Stringer, who is an icon herself, when I was getting recruited, I literally wanted her to do a home visit. I knew I wasn't going to Iowa. It was too far from Kentucky, but she was on the cover of the Jet magazine. And I kept telling my mom, we have to get her in our house. She is going to sign.
Pat was on the cover?
No, Coach Stringer was on the cover of Jet magazine. But that's why I'm saying
Jet. Okay.
Representation does matter. I remember watching Coach Carolyn Peck when she climbed the ladder after winning the national championship at Purdue. And I'm like, oh, we do matter and we can make a difference. And I think sometimes young Black coaches get put in a box. I don't know if it's as much anymore, but, there's a stereotype. Young Black coaches, what they do is recruit. That's what they do. But there's so much more to us. We can recruit. We can scout. We can lead our own programs. And I think the women of color, there's a lot of people that have paved the way for opportunities for myself and other Black coaches at the helm.
Yeah, I know. Coach Wright over at UTA was talking about that. You hit it. She said the very same thing about pigeonholing those women of color. They could do more than recruit. They're good at X's and O's. It's just that put them in that space so that they can be successful. I think that's one of the big things she talked about also. So, but tell me this: what did Kentucky mean to you? Not just professionally, but personality-wise. What did it mean to you, Kentucky?
You know, Kentucky is my home state. I grew up a Kentucky girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love that place. I love the state, and I have the opportunity to be at the helm at Kentucky was a truly an honor that I do not take lightly. I am grateful for the opportunity that Mr. Barnhart gave me, that administration. It is a place that I will always love. I mean, I have so many memories. I spent 12 years of my career at Kentucky as an associate head and a head coach. And just the relationships that I was able to make and still maintain to this day, the players that I was able to coach, you know, let's not forget the SEC championship of, you know, winning that.
Oh, yeah.
I
did my homework. I followed you.
Just so many memories. And, you know, Kentucky was a place that helped groom me into the woman that I am today and the coach that I am today. Now, obviously, it did not end the way that I wanted it to, but there are so many lessons. I am thankful, and I will be more prepared because of that opportunity the next time.
Yes. Amen. Amen. I got you.
You know, and I've had time to reflect this year, and you know, you always reflect and grow under any circumstances. And you know, during a time of when you're kind of low and your heart hurts, you got to go back and really evaluate yourself and the circumstance and the situation and turn it into a positive. And so, you know, I'm still healing, if I want to be truly honest, because I love that place. I gave my heart, poured my soul into it. But sometimes it just does not work. And God is preparing you for something different. But when I look back at my 4 years at the helm, you know, I did it in the spotlight, my first time as a head coach, through COVID, through NIL, through the transfer portal, through Black Lives Matter, and how I took over the job. Most people don't do that in their first 4 years in coaching. So a lot of those variables that I just named, we all were going through it for the first time. So there was no one that could mentor me through that part. You know, I just had to lean on my staff, go with my instincts, and do the best that I could do under the circumstances. And like I said, a lot of memories, a lot of lessons learned, had a lot of success. And I don't look at it as a failure, even though it hurts. Now, the competitive side of me, I know how to win. I know what it takes to win. And winning again.
You're a winner.
Yeah. And when I get the opportunity, the next time, God has already prepared me for the moment.
Your steps are ordered.
Definitely. My steps are ordered.
Oh, yeah. So what are your proudest moments during that tenure? Your proudest moments? I know you had ballers. You're a great recruiter. You're a great coach. Excellent. The whole package. So, but what's your proudest moment during that tenure?
I would say my proudest moments, 100% graduation rate. You know, our kids, our young ladies did it the right way. We were about community. We were about servant leadership. We won games, obviously SEC championships, the #1 draft pick. But my proudest moment is just the relationships that I was able to build with the staff, with the community, with the players. And to this day, you know, I know that it didn't end like I wanted it to. However, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I made a mark at Kentucky. I will forever be known as the coach at Kentucky because when I see people in public to this day, they'll say, "Oh, Kentucky, I remember you from Kentucky." So, you know, my assignment at Kentucky is done. and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Now I'm walking in my next assignment, but you have to make an impact wherever you go. And so that right there, I'm proud of.
Good. I'm so happy. That's good stuff, Coach. Good stuff. Like I said, I've always respected you from day one. I wish I could have got myself out there to meet with you on campus and go through the process when you were recruiting Q. But for some reason, out of my control, it wouldn't happen. But what do you hope to continue making for the next generation of the WOC in sports leadership? What's your impact?
I think just pouring in. So many people have poured into me to um, help make me who I am and get me to this moment. And when you have time to meet with young coaches on the road, or even sitting next to the people who have been in the business, learning and growing and sharing knowledge and taking care of each other, this is a unbelievable business to be in, but it's also stress filled, pressure filled. It's filled with highs and
Oh yeah.
lows. And to make sure that you are pouring into people, lifting people up. I always laugh, when you're winning, your phone is blowing up. Everybody's calling you. And it's the moments that you are low. Those are the times that I want to make sure that I'm
Radio silent.
intentional about you're reaching out, you're pouring in, you are picking up, because sometimes it's you, sometimes it's someone else. But there's always going to be a season where people need to be poured into.
Right. That's good stuff, Coach. Let's do this too. I'll get back to this hoop stuff, but let's talk about the foundation, because I know you're passionate about that. And
I'm
you told me
passionate.
let's give them some knowledge. Let's drop some knowledge. Let's
The
drop
on
some knowledge to these girl dads out here and the
Okay.
recruits.
Yes. Well, my foundation is called On the Five, the Kyra Elzy Foundation. I got it started a couple of years ago. It had been on my mind, on my bucket list to start for 10 years. I kicked it off in my hometown of LaGrange, Kentucky, because that was a city that raised me. I wouldn't be who I am today without them. They poured into me time with their resources. And so what the foundation is life skill through sport. And it gives people the opportunity to be successful academically, athletically, and making sure you're prepared for life. It's a win for life. So it's underprivileged kids, ages 6th through 8th grade. We kicked off a camp. The morning session is about learning, whether it's about social media, the positive influences, leadership, speaking engagements. The second half is basketball. And what my foundation offers is we give them starter kits and backpacks to make sure they have the supplies that they need for school. But more importantly, the thing that they love most, we give them $100 gift card for Nike shoes, so they are prepared for life. And just the metaphor for On the Five in my hometown of LaGrange, Kentucky, you can look it up. A railroad track splits the town in half. And so my number was 5. So the 5 is on the railroad tracks. And I looked at those railroad tracks growing up, and I knew I was a small town girl, but I had big dreams. And you just have to stay on track. You're going to get derailed, but get back on the track. Either way, if you stay on track, you can reach your goals and dreams. I am a living witness. Whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve. And that's what I want to give to those young ladies.
That's good stuff, Coach. I'm glad I touched bases on that and that you brought it to my attention. So now that you've been through a lot, how do you define success now? Is it different from when you first started?
Well, yes, it is. I'm going on 25 years. It's hard to believe. 25 years is a long time to do anything, and I still love it. I think at the beginning for me, when you're young, you have that young energy, you're naive, you don't really know, the business, but you don't really know it. I was so worried about, let me move up. I have goals to do this. I have dreams. I was so worried about moving up. I felt like I missed some of the process, not the moments. I shouldn't say the process. I missed some of the moments. You only have that group of young ladies, that staff during that time, that year, and it always changes, right? And so now that I'm reflecting back and I've been in the business for a long time, now I don't want to waste a moment. I don't want to waste, I want to enjoy the staff. I want to enjoy every game. I want to enjoy the players. I want to take it all in because it's always changing and evolving. And I just don't want to miss a moment. When I look back,
I got you.
I would be like, I had the opportunity to influence, impact, and inspire. And did I do that with everyone that I touched? And right
That's
now,
good stuff,
I'm just
Coach.
having the
That's
time of
good
my
stuff.
life. Enjoy it.
Well, yeah, that's good stuff. I'm glad to do that. So how do you balance that with your family? Now, we didn't even touch bases on that. You know, you're a family and you're not just a WOC, you're a mom too. So how do you balance that? And there's some young coaches out there that need to know how they need to balance that. You can't sacrifice one thing and think the other thing ain't going to get, is not going to get ate up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It's really hard, to be honest. It's hard. And every day you're just trying to figure out a way to make sure that you are pouring into both because they deserve both. Now, I will say I am blessed to have an amazing husband that wants me to live out my dreams, that helps me live out my dreams. I have a son, Jackson Miles, who's 9. This is all he knows. So he's grown up in the gym. He's been in practice. He's been in games. So they're invested with you. So that does help. But, one of my mentors told me this, it's quality over quantity. We travel a lot.
Quantity.
Yes, it's quantity. I just tried to make sure I am as present as I can be when I'm with them and dedicate that time. And when I'm at work, I try to be at work, and it's hard. It's so funny. Sometimes I'm a cool mom, and every mother goes through this. And then the days that I have to miss things because work calls, he's like, I want you to be one of the cooler moms, those moms that stay at home so you don't miss anything. So it's a balancing act. And, I just feel like this business, though, gives us an opportunity to let our young ones travel the world, meet different people. So I just pray in the long run, there's more positives than negatives when you have to miss things. And then I would just say, operate in grace. You're only one person. Okay. You can only give as much, and make sure that you are giving yourself time as well, so you can be the best. You can't pour from an empty cup.
There you go, man. You must have been listening to Joyce Myers. You giving nuggets out here. So I know we'll be going. I can listen to you and talk hoop all day, but we got to land the plane. And I want you to tell me this: two things. What type of recruit do you like to bring in? And is rankings and all that stuff important? And what type of player do you like? And then secondly, give the girl dads because I got a big following of girl dads, and give them a nugget that'll help them out from a college perspective of things to do and things to not do.
Okay, so for your first question, you go with the head coach's vision. And so, for me, we recruit players that Coach Lawson can connect to, women of high character, women that are looking to achieve success academically and athletically. That's very important. You got to have a work ethic, and then you have to have that mentality, a toughness about you. Playing in college is hard. It is a grind, consistent work ethic. It's mentally taxing. It's physically taxing. High reward, but it comes with work. And so it's really hard not to recruit someone that doesn't portray those things when you're recruiting, but high character, because you have to fit in a team. There's no person, one person bigger than the team. And then my advice for dads, those daddy's little girls, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it when they get to campus and they drop them off. The moms try to play it a little more cool. They're going to wait till they get to their car and cry, where I have seen the dads are a little more emotional. But I would just say, you know, support your daughter. It's already with social media and the pressure to perform, you know, being aligned with the head coach. So hopefully that you've done your homework.
Ooh.
You've chosen the right fit for you. So that's the right head coach, the right staff, the right school, the right style of play, all those things that fit you. And then I would just tell the dads, be aligned with the head coach. Everybody wants the same thing, success for your daughter.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's hard
Ira Childress. Ira Childress is big on the lining from UTA. Good stuff, Coach. Well, I know you have busy, and I'm thank you for coming on. And I got to do my PSA announcement to all the girl dads. Make sure you get your PSA levels checked, eat right, exercise, and if you need to talk to me about it, girl dads, DM me. We could talk about it. Don't be so where you all wrapped up and not want to talk about it. So get your PSA levels checked, guys. I'm in that process, and I'm on a PSA campaign to alert all the men out there, not just African-American men in general. Get your PSA levels checked. Coach, thanks a lot for coming on, man. I can't wait to see you out on the road. I can't.